Monsters in D&D can have all the lore they want and get as much nice art as they please and look as sexy as they can possibly manage, and yet a lot of fighting monsters in this game ends up being a boring slog of 3 players hitting an unmoving beholder piñata. For a game all about combat in D&D can sure be static, boring, and lifeless if you're not careful. So what if we fix that? We're gonna change how D&D Combat goes and make it dynamic, fun, and make it feel like an actual climactic fight. All with just one mechanic. How? Well, I'm Antonio D'Amico, this is Pointy, and that's what this video will teach you to do. In this brand new episode of A Tip of the Hat, Combat Edition, Part 2, The Squeakquel. So I covered the monster manual recently, and while I think it's on the whole a massive improvement from the old version, especially the CR changes, I was a baby bit upset at layer actions having changed. Just a little upset. So, in order to understand this new mechanic I'm introducing in this video, I need to explain why layer actions were so important to me and why they inspired this mechanic that the video is about, and why I'm upset at layer actions changing. Just a baby bit upset. Layer actions to me are about action economy, sure, but they're about dynamism in combat more than anything. They are sort of the only tool we have to ensure that dynamic fights happen. Why do we need fights to be dynamic? Because combat is extremely boring if they're not. I think the most common problem with D&D Combat is how quickly and easily it can become static. If Mr. Dungeons and Mr. Dragons, a couple that made D&D, came to me and said, you get to improve one thing from D&D as a sort of extremely specific and inconsequential genie wish, I would remove opportunity attacks. And then I would beg for them to remove the distinction between bonus action, and then curse myself from not choosing alignment to be removed. So why choose opportunity attacks to get the axe? Well, fights, way too often, are about monsters remaining completely stationary because the best tactical decision you can make as a DM is to just not move around. Why? Because you have 4-player goblins forming a circle of death around your monster, hitting it with a stick 6 or so times per round. And moving from that position means that each of those goblins gets a little extra attack on you for free. And some of those goblins might have optimized their goblin builds to make it so that attack drops you to 0 speed, or something equally cursed. The fact that enemies don't move is not the problem itself. The problem is that because enemies don't move, players don't move. And fights become a staring match with an unmoving, unchanging battle map. It's boring. If players had a reason to move on their own, it wouldn't matter much. But they don't. Right now, so many monsters get options to move up to half their speed as a legendary action, but it doesn't help much if that doesn't include without provoking opportunity attacks at the end of that. So because monsters end up pretending to be statues for like 80% of the fight outside of the first turn where they move up to the players to hit them, fights remain boring, unchanging, and at that point, you might as well be playing a turn-based JRPG because positioning, range, terrain, all of those things don't matter. Nothing matters. There's so many combat mechanics that end up not mattering in like 90% of fights. Yes, your Tabaxi monk might be able to move 240 feet per second, but why would you want to if the enemy doesn't move and you don't have a reason to? So, how did layer actions solve this? Trick question, they didn't. Just kidding, they kind of did, but not all of them, and only sometimes, but you can make new ones that... Okay, listen. Layer actions, most of the time, did not address this. A lot of them were like, everything is difficult terrain, which, great, now we move even less. But some of them did add a lot of dynamism. Adding minions, for example, changes the goal of the fight until the minions encircle the players that are encircling the boss, and we end up in a sort of onion formation of boring. Stuff like plunging the layer in darkness might make it more enticing for the monster to actually move, since attacks made against it would be made at disadvantage. These layer actions made it so that players had to rethink their strategies and approach the fight in different ways instead of prayer circling the boss to death. It was good when it worked, and you can make your own to specifically address this need. But layer actions are now gone. Or rather, they have changed so that they are either part of the stat block or passive effects. Stuff like, there's a storm around this monster, or verbal components don't go well when this guy's around, and while these are cool and flavorful and I like them, they do nothing to add dynamism to the fight. Don't quote me on this, but I think I've seen the someone turns the lights off one as a legendary action, and I think that's it. And that's not even my favorite one. Nobody likes missing attacks in a game where getting to your turn can easily take up to 5 minutes, especially if dice rolls are not on your side. I think that this is why people put so much stock into personalizing their dice, getting the weirdest possible materials made into dice, match their dice with their character, put their characters inside of their die, including their weapons like some sort of genie for maximum customizability. Wait, what? Yes, you can literally do that thanks to this week's sponsor, Hero Forge. You guys know about Hero Forge? They're the ones where you can make those sick custom minis of your character with a whole character creator to get it exactly right. And guess what? You can put that character inside your dice now. Look at these. They said these to the human familiar. It's your character and their different accessories inside the die. This is for their current Kickstarter. It's running right now, and rewards for backing it are wild. Minis, of course, duh. But also, aside from your regular set of dice, you can get an XL D20. Look at the size of this. And some tiers even let you design stuff to put in the character creator of Hero Forge to get your blow bows just right. This is some of the most creative, customizable options I have ever seen for dice. So if this sounds good, go take a look at that Kickstarter. It's live right now at this very second in the very first link in the description. Thanks to Hero Forge, we have dice to roll, and they're sick. So what is this whole thing about dynamism? So now that we know what their actions, brought to the table and why dynamism is so important to make it so that your players don't drop asleep after turn 3 of exciting standing around and hitting the thing with the sword, what are we gonna do to make it happen? So, I've concocted a D&D mechanic in my spooky lab that only exists in Minecraft, and it's all about enhancing dynamism and making boss fights feel like actual boss fights. It's inspired by the place in the game that their actions had, like the potential that they had, but also heavily inspired by another, darker source. You'll see. God forgive me. I didn't want something that could make fights more dynamic, rather, something that was designed to always do that. And I got my inspiration from...
There's science and scientific proof.
I actually do have the IQ of a official genius.
I have the mind of a master.
Oh boy. Please stay with me. MMORPG mechanic. No. Wait. Come back. I swear it's good. It's not like 4E. Please, come back. Okay, remember when I did my travel video and I said that I had been playtesting those travel mechanics in my home game for like more than a year? I've been playtesting this for even longer, and I literally cannot imagine running D&D without it now. Well, I can, because I just started DMing an adventure for baby players, my free Kraken adventure actually, that I did for this channel. It's in my Kraken video, and I've gotten so used to this mechanic that running the game without it bored me. So, how does it work? Well, if you're familiar with MMORPG battle mechanics, I'm sorry. And if you're not, congratulations. You're pure of soul and gentle of heart. I'll explain the bit that inspired it. In MMORPGs, big boss battles have what is commonly referred to as mechanics. This is what in the industry we call bad name, because mechanics is the word for literally everything you engage with to play a game. But who cares? This is not a video about video game terms. I did not call my thing mechanics, but MMOs do. Moving on. Other than wailing on the monster for 5 to 10 minutes while accompanied by people who have dressed their characters in the dark, or not dressed them at all, you freaks. In MMOs, you are expected to do mechanics to actually win the fight. Mechanics can range from killing all the minions that the boss summons before a timer runs out, to moving to a specific spot in the arena, accomplishing whatever action, coordinating with another player, anything. Do you see a pattern? Yes. These are all about doing something other than hitting the monster. And once one of these mechanics is in place, the players have to change their behavior immediately to resolve it. And then, once it's resolved, continue the fight. But how? How do they know a mechanic is happening and they need to resolve it? Well, there's always a tell. A tell is something the boss in question does to let you know what mechanic is about to happen. If the mechanic is get away from the front of the boss, he's about to destroy everything in front of him, the boss might start to charge a Dragon Ball Z ball of energy facing forward. That's a tell. It's a subtle cue that tells you, get the f out of there. Most of the time in MMORPGs, tells are big areas on the battlefield that tell you where you can and cannot stand, or I guess you can stand there if you want to die. But other times, these tells are animations like the one I described above. This keeps fights dynamic, ever-changing, gives so many extra side objectives during the fight for the players to accomplish, which, if you've seen my other video on combat, you know is extremely good for making D&D fights interesting, and, most importantly, makes people say things like this in voice chat, which is fun.
Baby steps.
If you got sucked out, do not leave the party.
I really think the pets are grieving us.
Yeah, I don't think pets should be going in at all.
Long ice yellow.
Meteors.
And, most importantly, it makes both the monster and the fight feel, forgive the word, I'm technically a millennial after all, epic. So, what would I care about MMORPGs? I play cool games, like Play Pretend with my 30 to 40-year-old friends in my basement. Well, fantastic point, fake person I pretend asks questions to set me up for the next bit in my script. If these MMO mechanics give so many side objectives and keep fights dynamic, is there a way to adapt these game design concepts to D&D? Well, I did it. I adapted them, so I guess it's not a we, but I think it should be we in terms of using it, because this has changed how I run fights forever, and I really think you should try these. I call them battlefield actions. Like legendary actions, but different. Why? Because they work kind of like legendary actions, but different. Brad. Legendary actions happen when a player has finished an action or their turn. Battlefield actions happen when the enemy finishes their turn. How? Well, as I said, they perform a tell, a hint as to what they are about to do. The tell could be charging a Dragon Ball Z energy ball, like I said, but it could be raising their weapon over their head, getting ready to bring it down, or starting a magic chant. The tell could be on the battlefield. A chant wouldn't give you much to go on, but if they start chanting and magic circles appear on the battlefield, that's more of a tell. Now, why is it a tell? Because players have until the beginning of the enemy's next turn to figure out what the battlefield action does and stop it before it does it. That's right, battlefield actions start at the end of the enemy's turn with a tell and resolve at the beginning of the enemy's next turn, unless the players manage to stop it or mitigate it, that is. And it isn't something like roll a little die to make a saving throw, which, I don't know, I don't think that's particularly engaging gameplay. Rather, it's using your own reasoning as a party to try to figure out what is about to happen at the beginning of the enemy's next turn and how to prevent it. It's like a puzzle in the middle of a fight. If the players figure out the tell and how to stop the battlefield action, they can prevent it from taking place or soften its impact. But if they can't, the battlefield action takes place, it hurts a bit of a lot, puts them in a rough spot, but they now know how to prevent it next time. But this is a lot of blah 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 by Kesha, and in order for me to convince you to try this out, I'm gonna have to give you some examples of possible battlefield actions you can use in your games, because I feel like nothing sells this system better than showing you what this adds to fights, because I think it's so cool. So let's do that. Battlefield action 1. Let's do that chanting thing so you can see what I'm talking about. The boss starts chanting an old magical song, and 3 magic circles, the size of a medium creature, appear on the battlefield. You see as arcane energy coalesces in the middle of those circles, creating, little by little, the outline of a monstrous beast in each of the circles. The boss is summoning adds. Now, each battlefield action needs a way for it to be minimized or neutralized, but you need to be flexible if the players find another way of minimizing it or neutralizing it. For example, if the players step on the circle, they will see the glow dim and the arcane energy disperse. As long as a creature is standing on that spot, the summoning cannot take place. Cool, but since I described the tell as chanting, I would also allow the players to stop this battlefield action by casting silence on the boss. See, it feels like a puzzle, it feels dynamic, it forces the players to move around, it feels like something a big bad boss would do. It's cool. Okay, I'm on a roll, I want to do a second one. Battlefield action number 2. Let's do that Dragon Ball Z thing I keep using as an example. It's easy to understand. The boss puts their hands on their hips, Apple Dance style, and a ball of energy starts to coalesce on their palm, growing in size, and it's aiming it against the player that hit it last. If another player hits the boss now targets that player. This one is not about neutralizing the battlefield action, like stopping it from happening. Rather, it's more about making sure that someone that can tank that hit hits the boss last, so the boss targets that one and not the wizard that will die in one hit. If the very last player to go is that wizard, that's gonna be rough. It also, I love this, is all about positioning. If you hit the boss last, don't stand next to your friends. You're about to get them and you in the blast of that Dragon Ball energy thing. The tank could hold their action to attack and make their attack go right before the boss to ensure the tank takes the hit instead of the squishies, and at the beginning of the boss's next turn, the blast goes off, attacking the last person that hit the boss. Hope you were smart about positioning. Okay, a third one for fun. Why not? Let's do one that uses the battlefield itself. Battlefield action number 3. The boss is like, I don't know, a big-eyed freak, like a Legend of Zelda monster, big-eyed monster something, or a Gorgon, or whatever. You see as it opens its spooky eye wider, and it starts darting around from player to player. The moment the eye lands on you, and you feel the monster look at you, you feel your skin prickling. Something is happening when it's looking at you. Luckily, there are pillars around this battlefield. If the players hide behind these pillars so that the monster can't see them, they'll avoid the blast effect that either deals damage, petrifies them, frightens them, whatever. But once again, be flexible. If they turn invisible, that works. If they cast darkness on a thing that doesn't have the magical darkness brand of dark vision, that also works. I've used this system for years, so I have like a bunch of these ready to go. Like, what about a magic-y guy boss that starts drawing magic circles in the air, concentrating on casting a complicated and very, very deadly spell? Forehead veins bulging as they concentrate extremely hard, Megamind style. Well, try to break that concentration. What about a monster erecting a big, massive barrier around themselves, doing God knows what behind? Well, gotta hit a damage threshold and destroy that barrier before whatever happens. What if the boss creates a bunch of copies of themselves and you gotta get rid of all the copies or they will all cast the same spell as many times as there are copies on the battlefield? This is why I love this battlefield action thing. They do what I always want lair actions to do. Change the battlefield. Change the behavior of the players. And most importantly, I feel like I haven't emphasized this enough, they make the fight feel sorry again, epic. But in the true sense of the word. You're fighting a thing so powerful it has its own rules. And I find them super easy to run because they always go in the same way. Start at the end of the boss's turn with a tell, resolve at the beginning of the boss's next turn, and so on and so forth. Of course, there are caveats. For one, CR is just not built with this in mind, so monsters are definitely harder if you give them this. But if players have been stomping over your guys every fight, consider this. Also, if you're someone that has been running D&D for a minute, you kinda know what your players can handle. You could throw this at them. Also, you gotta do it right. Not being able to stop a battlefield action from happening or mitigating it should feel bad, but should not end a fight. This isn't a if you don't stop it, you die thing. The players need to be afforded the chance to learn the battlefield action on the fly. It's a shame you can't use them. I mean, I guess you can make your own. A lot of work though. And have fun figuring out stuff like damage calculations and stuff. It's hard. You know it already. Just kidding. I did a bunch for you. And I have included ways in which you can make your own for fun. A whole bunch of battlefield actions and rules on how to use them by CR, so you can use them with any monster, are in the description of this very video. And they are there for, you know it, Pointy Hat certified 100% free. But wait, don't go. Remember that sale that lets you get both the PDF and the physical editions of my codex, my book, as well as all the merch for cheaper? It's ending this month. Also, I was feeling like the book was shorter than I anticipated, so I added a bunch of stuff to it, like new species, a bunch of stuff to make it beefier. So if you want any of the merch, the sale is ending at the end of this month. It's your time to grab it now before the pre-order sale ends. But what if you need more help with combat? Well, I did another video on it, and that one has like 1,000 ways to improve it, along with a different set of rules. I bet you can't guess what it is. Here's a hint. Yep, it's that. All right, go have fun with battlefield actions. Tell me how it goes, please. Don't play MMOs, it's not worth it. Shadowbringer's best expansion. Bye. Mwah.